Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today we're talking about the big breaking news coming out of Southampton that they have sacked their manager Ralph Hasenhuttl after, what was it, about just over 4 years in charge of the club. The news comes obviously not even 24 hours after Southampton's latest defeat, which occurred against Newcastle, with the Magpies coming out as 4-1 winners. The informed team managed to sink the Saints on Sunday afternoon. But the aftermath of this has obviously led to the dismissal of Ralph Hasenhuttl only a week before, obviously, the final game of the season, before we have the World Cup break. Obviously, the thing that's going to break up the season, so to speak, right now. So the timing does seem a little off to me, but we're going to be obviously talking about this. We're going to be talking about Southampton, about Ralph Hasenhuttl and everything else that goes along with that. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always would be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's talk about Ralph Hasenhuttl, because this one is quite interesting. He's always seemed to be a manager that's been always teetering on the edge of being sacked. Let's face it, like I say, he's been in charge for just over 4 years since taking over in 2018. He's oversaw a couple of 9-0 defeats to the likes of Leicester and Manchester United, and we kind of all thought that that might have been what might send him over the edge, what might give him the chop, the sack, however you want to put it. But he managed to overcome that storm, and obviously Southampton stood by him, and it was quite refreshing at them times to see a team stand by their manager the way that they did, because it could have been so much easier for a humiliating and an embarrassing defeat like that to not happen just once but twice, for the team to simply dismiss him, get rid of him. And especially in the modern age of the game, where managers come and go very, very quickly, and if you're not getting results, it can turn within 1 or 2 of them results. So it was actually quite refreshing to see a team like that stand by their manager. But the current run they're on has seemingly been one too many times that Southampton can handle in terms of him managing, in terms of where the club are at right now, and in terms of obviously now his dismissal. The timing does seem a little strange, because they've got one more game coming up before the World Cup break. It's against Liverpool this weekend, so conveniently Liverpool get the slight unknown entity of a interim manager until then, unless obviously they will appoint someone in the coming days to take over for that game, and then obviously to take charge of the World Cup break and see what players he has still left at the club during that time to kind of work with and work on the training ground with, and see if he can get ready for the second half of the season. That's going to be interesting to find out who they have. Yeah, so looking forward to that game this weekend. But yeah, the timing does seem a little strange. I would have thought, because there were rumours swirling around that his head was on the chopping block. There were rumours swirling around that maybe this time it would be one time too many, and they would eventually give him the sack, and it obviously has come to fruition. It has come true. I just found it strange that it would come a week before the final game, or a week before the international break starts, or whatever it is. Maybe they're just trying to roll the dice against Liverpool, or maybe they just dismiss that game entirely. I don't know. But of course, given the current situation of the club, given where the club's current position is, they lie in the relegation zone. I don't think they've won in their last 9 games, I believe, or only have 3 wins in the last 9 games or something like that. It's not looking good, and this was a Ralph Hasenhuttl side that obviously did very well in games that they weren't supposed to win. They'd go to teams like Manchester City, they'll go to teams like Liverpool and Arsenal and Chelsea, and they give them really, really good games, and they would be a thorn in their side. But it was the teams that were in and around them that I always found to be their Achilles heel. For example, earlier on this season, I remember they gave Manchester United a really good game, and they were very unfortunate not to come out with anything from that game. They went to Chelsea a few days later and they beat Chelsea, a team that obviously I don't think many people were expecting them to beat. And then they'll go to like a team like Bournemouth and they'll drop points, or they'll go to a team like I guess in Newcastle's current form and everything, I guess you'd say that they're on fire right now, so I guess you can't really blame them for that one. But they go to teams that were in and around them in the relegation zone, or a sort of mid-table club, and they drop points, and obviously that has been a constant theme of theirs. But they would go to a team that are quite higher up and they give them a real good game, and obviously this time it just seems like it was one too many. In terms of Hasenhuttl himself, he seems to carry himself really well. He seems to be well respected. I think he came in as a bit of an unknown sort of manager to the Premier League at least, and really took to it. I think he has gained a lot of fans from maybe Southampton and maybe from surrounding clubs as well. And I don't think this will be the end of him. Maybe he'll go back to Austria. Maybe he'll go elsewhere, because he did seem like he was going to. It's difficult to say that he was going to build something there, but he did seem to be a solid enough manager to think that maybe he could. Maybe the possibility was there. Maybe just certain things just didn't go his way. Maybe certain transfers didn't work out. That kind of thing. But it would be interesting to find out what happens to him. As far as Southampton goes, obviously, the search for a new manager begins. I think they've got some sort of interim manager coming in for the final week of the first half of the season, shall we say, before the international break kicks in. So it's going to be interesting to find out. But again, there's been a fair bit of change at Southampton over the past year. Bit of a takeover, bit of this, bit of that, bit of the other, and obviously they feel like there's not really much progression. And to be fair, I guess there really wasn't. I guess Southampton would have been one of these teams this season that eventually would have found a bit of form under Hasenhuttl, and they would have gone on to have a bit of a middle of the road kind of season. They would have been fine. They did this, I think, last season. I think they were teetering on the edge of the relegation zone, and then they found a bit of form. They picked up a few good results, and it just eventually pushed them forward to safety without having anything more than any kind of exciting season ahead. So I think that would have been the case again. I guess you could say that there was no real progression, which is unfortunate for him and for everyone else. But like I say, it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe Southampton go for someone else. Maybe a return for Pochettino. It could happen. Stranger things obviously have happened in football. That could definitely be something to explore for Southampton. He's obviously been there before. He made a name for himself in the Premier League because of what he did at Southampton, and hence why he eventually did move on to Tottenham. There are obviously other avenues to explore. Maybe a young manager, maybe giving someone like Steven Gerrard a second chance, or maybe a Scott Parker a second chance, or whoever it may be. Could be very interesting areas to explore for Southampton, and I'm interested to know what their fans want. I'm interested to know what they want. Obviously, their owners seem to have big plans for their brand and club and everything. So it's going to be very interesting over the course of the next few weeks or months or so to see what the intentions of Southampton are, how they're going to try and rebuild and reignite the season when obviously it does restart in December/January, and just to see how things go for them from there. But obviously the big breaking news is that Ralph Hasenhuttl has been sacked by Southampton today following a string of poor results. Like I say, slightly unfortunate, slightly refreshing to see a club stand by their manager for so long. I think he was something like the fourth longest serving manager of the current of the present day, shall we say. But eventually I think his luck kind of ran out a little bit on that front, and that is why he has been sacked. Like I say, rather unfortunate. I think he carried himself quite well. I think in certain games he obviously thrived in certain games he obviously sank in, and it was kind of hit and miss and inconsistent for a while, and I think that is what kind of drove this decision, because it got a bit stale and it got a bit like the club wasn't really progressing, and it was constantly one step forward, two steps back, two steps forward, one step back, and that kind of pattern over and over again. So, interesting take, interesting development at Southampton. We wait and see, obviously, where Southampton go from here in terms of finding a successor to Ralph Hasenhuttl. But of course, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the news, the breaking news, that Southampton have sacked their manager Ralph Hasenhuttl from obviously the Saints? Where do you see them going from here? Where do you see the next direction for Southampton being taken? Who do you see succeeding Hasenhuttl at St Mary's? And what do you think is next for the Austrian manager? Where do you see his future lying as well? All of those things could be very good takes down below in the comments section. I will be very interested in reading them all. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up, enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always in front of me, greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.